We're going. I hit the wrong button there. That's the one we're looking for. I know.
Right.
So many things are going on. Well, first off, Paul, I tweeted this out, and we've been talking about this. This is the first thing that's on my agenda for today. Okay. I am sitting in line to pick my daughter up from school, and I get a notification from Zelle. And if you're not familiar, I don't know if Zelle is used outside the United States, but inside the United States, like if I want to send Paul money and I don't want to use PayPal and I want to go bank to bank, there's an app called Zelle, and it's free to use and commission free and whatever. And you can send money to it. And so my Zelle address that people, if you want to send me money, send money to brad@outlook.com. Because,
but seriously, don't. Because
well, I'm not sending it back. Let's put it that way. If you do it intentionally. But I'm sitting there and I get an email that says, you just received a large transaction of money. And I'm like, what? And like I open my bank account.
You should say how much. I don't think there's any reason not to.
No, it was 3 transactions of $500.
$500 each.
Yeah, each.
Right. So $1,500.
So like, I'm like, first thing I'm like, this has got to be a scam. But then like I called my bank and their only advice was, because I was like, reverse this. Like, I don't want this in my account. I don't want, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't like, whatever.
So just so people know those, because my wife uses Zelle extensively, because our kids always need money. You can just send it to, you can send money to any address.
As long as it's linked to a Zelle.
Yeah. So this, my initial reaction to your thing was, well, this is probably a mistake. Now it looks like you're about to describe what it probably is. But the problem with Zelle is like once you send it, it's gone. Like it goes. And so you could make a mistake if Brad is a very a simple email address. You could picture a letter being off or a number or something, and you could be sending money to the wrong person. Or it could be what this might be.
Or it could be some sort of scam where the money's in my account and I'm like, oh, great, I got $500. I'm going to go blow it on potato chips.
Xbox and
and then 3 days later, they retract it and effectively suck $500 out of my account into this whatever.
See, that part I'm confused about.
So here, I got some inside information on this, Paul. Okay. This is very convenient that my neighbor, my neighbor behind me works at the bank where I bank, and he actually conveniently works in fraud. And so he's fairly high up there, and he knows. He's like, he goes, I'm very familiar with Zelle. We use it extensively internally, and we've looked at it. I'm like, okay, so here's the scenario. Long story short, when you send from Zelle, if I send from money from me to you, the onus or the reliability is on the person sending, not the person receiving. It's also on the sending institution. So in this case, it came from Chase. So Chase is the liable entity here, not me. Once the money hits my account, the money is legally mine. They cannot go back in and pull it without my explicit authorization.
That's what I was getting. So the person who sent you the money has no notion of what bank you're at, what your account number is. They don't know anything like that. They're literally sending it to an email address, which if connected to an actual Zelle account will propagate back to your actual account. Like that person can't, or Russian mafia, whatever it was, can't. To that would be my understanding. Okay.
Yes. So according to the people on the phone and my neighbor, the only thing that can happen is now they have to go to Chase and dispute the transaction. Then Chase has to call my bank, and my bank has to then call me to authorize it. Now, here's where it gets a little hairy because we don't know what Chase is going to do. Because this person willfully admits that they entered this information in and sent the money, there's no fraud. It's not fraud that they sent this money to the account. This was a transaction they entered into and they screwed up. Like if I go and burn $500 in my backyard, the bank isn't going to give me $500. Like they're not going to chase that down because it was a willful act.
But what's the end game of the fraud we suspect these people of?
So
it's not a kindly old grandmother in Canton, Ohio, sending a birthday present to her nephew Bradley or whatever.
So I asked, I was like, can you tell me anything? It said, all we have is a transaction number. We don't know the person who sent it. We know that it originated at Chase. And they said, if you want, you can call Chase with this transaction number and try to figure it out. But they're probably not going to tell you anything because you're not on that account. And I'm like, look, like at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and wait because I'm not going to spend 17 hours to figure out how to refund somebody else's money that they sent to me on accident.
So, okay. As you were talking through that, I guess it occurred to me, this is such a small a number of dollars to commit fraud over. But
Yes.
I guess here would be one theory. Someone has sent you $1,500. It's so bizarre that this would start with the transfer of money to you, actual money.
Yeah, not a fake.
In your
It's
account.
not a
But,
fake
okay,
check
but
that showed up and they said cash.
I'm just trying to pretend.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to think this through. Like, what could this be? I suppose, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you could get an email now from a kindly old grandmother named Dorothy who said, I sent you this money. I meant it for my grandson. I'm so sorry. Could you send it back? And of course, you would say, of course I can send it back. I'm so sorry this happened. I'm a good person. I'm going to do the right thing. You'll send him $1,500. Then 2 weeks are going to go by, and Chase Bank is going to contact you and say, "Hey, there was fraud."
Right, right.
You know what I
this
mean?
is
and
real.
there could be this outcome where you lose $1,500 because you did the right thing as a nice guy.
Yeah. Well, now I can at least plead ignorance because anybody listening to this podcast could email me and say, "Hey, Brad, I accidentally sent you $1,500. Ship it back to me," and I'll be like, "No."
Yes,
like,
that's right. That's right. Like, that was the first reaction I had when you showed me the email. Like, oh yeah, that was from me. Yeah.
Like, I feel bad. Like,
of course,
I don't know what to do because I don't want to be out $1,500 at the end of the day.
Yep. So I think what you do is you sit tight.
And that's what everybody has told me. Like, you just have to sit and wait.
Yep.
And I think the only thing I'm going to do is if Chase calls me and they say, "Look, we can reverse this," then I absolutely will, because that is the institution.
Because the bank is doing it, exactly, and then it's their problem.
Right, and then I know there's a paper trail, and it's not, again, because I don't want to be in the situation where, okay, this person emails me, and then I send it back, but then I've willfully sent this money over there, so there's, again, not fraud. I was just conned into it. So
Oh boy.
It's just weird.
So have you, I know your buddy or your neighbor works for the bank, but have you officially kind of reported this? Because you should.
I called in and I said, please write something down that I have called in and said, this transaction has occurred. This is not my money. I don't know who sent it. I don't want this. I don't want to be held liable for this. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
And so that's when he told me, he's like, look, it's not on the bank that you use. It's on Chase who sent it. And as Hayden pointed out, he goes, unless it's on Chase screwed something up, but that would be if the only way that could happen.
By the way, you hope to God Chase screwed something up, because then it's their fault and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but I feel like Chase would be easier to reach into my bank account, even though they're not my bank, than anything else in the world.
They can't do that. I mean, they could get your bank to agree to do it, I guess, maybe. But I can't imagine that. That would be an interesting legal battle.
Yep. Anyways, speaking of interesting things, Amazon vomited onto the world about 7,000 different Amazon devices. Yeah. So
can I ask you, before you get to the details, I'm just curious. I go through great periods of indecision when it comes to purchases. Like, I rethink everything all the time. Like, I can't help it. Like, we actually went into a Best Buy the other day, my wife and I, because we were looking for a toaster oven, and it's the first time I've stepped foot in the store in over 6 months, whatever. But I walked by an Amazon, the nice Echo speaker, the kind of stereo kind of thing, and I looked at it, and I thought, man, I can almost imagine going like all Amazon on speakers and stuff. Like, I have those stupid moments, you know what I mean? Stupid. I rethink it. Phones, wearables is big stuff now, but it's everything. Like, I do this all the time. Does this Amazon stuff ever, or like Amazon today, but Google in a couple of weeks, or Apple whenever they do their stuff, do you suffer from this problem? Like, where something like look, something new, completely different. Like, did you look at any of this stuff and think,
Oh, I went one step further than that, Paul. I bought a car, and I'm waiting for it to arrive. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, should I have not gotten an electric car? Should I gotten just, something that I know I can get the wrench out and actually fix in my garage?
Right.
So indecision, I think, is just natural human whatever.
Okay, but with Amazon specifically, because like you said, they vomited like 70 different products out yesterday. I mean, do you ever look at any of that stuff? Did you look at that stuff and think, that's
nothing?
maybe.
I've honestly kind of really moved away from all that stuff. I had our house.
I have too.
Really wired up.
But did you do Amazon? You had some Amazon.
We still have some of the Amazon stuff. It's not plugged in right now. What I've gone back to actually is I've bought a bunch. I didn't even go back to it. It's just I unhooked the Amazon connection of it. I've just got a bunch of the Hue like plugs. Yeah. And so like your watch, I can do it right now. Like, and they're just wired up through various things. But none of them are through the voice stuff, just because it wasn't. Right.
Nope.
It never added enough value to justify.
It's not natural. It's just frustrating. Even the one thing I'll say, like the Google's the Google's display thing we have, there'd be a photograph, and I'll want to know where it's from. And I'll say, I stopped saying this because I'll say, Google, where was this photo taken? And every single time, sorry, that information isn't available. It has no idea where the photo's taken. So then I'll say, because it always doesn't know, now I just say, Google, when was this photo taken? It always knows that.
Yeah.
And then I can either go to Google Photos manual and look up the date, or I just, I know, okay, because based on whatever year or month it was, I know it was this place, not this place. But yeah, I find the way stuff has just been big on promise and light on real world use.
So I will tell you though, when yesterday Amazon announces, don't spoil it if people are, you'll see where I'm going with this. So they announced this little drone thing that like plugs in and takes off and flies around and can video stuff. When I saw that without having read anything, I was actually slightly interested for like a minute because, Paul, I thought it was for outside your house.
Right.
I thought this is something like you leave on your back deck and it's like, oh, like your camera spotted something and that thing goes and then like flies over.
Give
and
credit for making a drone that is for inside your house, which is not something. I don't know that I have a good imagination or not, but it's not something I ever would have like thought was a thing. Like why?
Yeah, the thing I imagined is I'm laying in bed and I wake up in the middle of the night, it's just going buy some diapers, and then just like takes off. Like
actually it's doing it, so it goes up next to your ear and it just whispers to you.
Just whispers sweet nothings of whatever.
What's your Amazon password?
Yeah. Yeah. Like actually probably what it would say is like, did you get the money from Zelle? And then I'd be like, oh God. That's
yes, I did.
That's when you see Brad just check out. But
it's a security thing, right? So in other words, the point, and by the way, they did say they specifically did not make it silent because they could have, because they want people to hear it. Like they don't want it to be a surprise that it's coming, Technically, it shouldn't appear if you're in the house doing stuff. But interestingly, the thing you just described, you're all asleep. Is this thing going to go around patrolling your house at night or something like some science fiction movie from the 80s?
Well, the other thing too, I initially thought, and this not so much in my household, but probably in your household, I could imagine like dogs, just like that thing takes off, just go.
Oh, my cats! Here's the video. I don't want to get it just for the cats, because I can assure you, when we leave the house and I go to the app and look at what the thing's doing, you're gonna see cats going like this and jumping up, and it's gonna be like when the eagle took out that drone thing, and it was like this awesome footage, like it just kept flying out of space. Like my cats would annihilate this thing.
Yeah. So anyways, they got a new ball thing that looks like the Google, what was that, Nexus Q from like eons ago?
I think it was Q. I think it was called Nexus Q.
They got a thing that looks like that, and they got some other.
It's a globe, right? Yeah. Which is a bigger speaker. Google's about to release a new version of the Home, which is also a bigger speaker and will be fabric wrapped. If you are familiar with the Max, it looks like that, but small. I think that looks nice. I mean,
Yeah. So, other things that are nice, Paul, you've been doing some conversations with like small businesses lately.
Yeah.
And we chopped out a clip here, but I'll let you tee it up. I think it was with Rod. I think this one was.
Rod Leach, yeah. So he represents a home healthcare business here in Pennsylvania. Actually, he's right down the road. Not right down the road, but he's like 45 minutes down the road. But I was telling him I think of the town he lives in is the IKEA exit, But I talked to Rod and several other people actually after our podcast today. I'm going to talk to one more, and that will be my last one. But yeah, small businesses, how they use Microsoft 365, how they came to choose it, how that usage has changed during the pandemic. You won't be surprised to discover that Teams usage is way up everywhere. But yeah, so he was one of the people who was really nice to talk to me this week.
Yeah. So here's hopefully it's the right clip.
So we introduced that in, I think, 2017, August of 2017. They weren't using it.
Yeah.
And so we introduced Teams, and they started seeing the ability to shift out of email and into Teams, and we've really seen that pick up from a recruiting standpoint. And all the virtual handoffs that they're doing now, you're seeing Teams a lot more utilized. And it's fun to see. They're taking the birthday celebrations and the anniversary celebrations into Teams versus generating all that traffic in email.
Right.
So it kind of cleans up email.
Yeah, that's funny. You're not the first person who said that. It's a baby birth or a birthday or something. You do kind of a virtual Teams thing. That's neat.
So the one thing that's worth pointing out, because Paul, we talk about how Teams is for like large companies, and they're a smaller entity, if I'm remembering correctly, right?
Yeah, it's about 50 internal employees. They do, but the business basically is they have an office with people in it, obviously, or normally they do. People that go out into people's homes, patients.
Yep.
And a lot of those people internally used to go out occasionally on those visits and check up on things and whatever. But They have turned into a big Surface shop. He wanted to make sure I got that into the conversation. Was they use Surface devices, love them, have never had any reliability issues at all. And yes, but as far as Teams goes, yeah, I mean, when you're all of a sudden forced to be remote working, like basically 100%, this becomes a vital thing. And it's really interesting. A lot of the people I talked to had some of the same experiences where they either didn't care about Teams or only a few people used it, and that they're full-blown Teams. And it doesn't matter how big the company is. I mean, look, we have a small company. I mean, yeah, we are reliant on Teams. I mean,
we would be in a lot of trouble without it. I know Microsoft pitches like a lot of big stuff, especially last week, like breakout rooms, which are larger entity operations. My wife uses it at work, and she works for a very large entity, and so it's important to kind of remember that it does kind of work in the small business. I mean, we're a company of like 10 people or so, something like that, and it's the backbone.
I don't know that the people we work with would ever think to do this, but including me, I mean, but one of the things that one can do is really tailor the Teams UI to the stuff that you need, right? Mm-hmm. So with these default views, like we don't happen to use the Teams view. So I actually got rid of that, but I've been using Calendar to book all the meetings I just did. The files thing shows us all the, where all the files we show. You don't have to go back through chats, but you can go in there and customize those views. So if we happen to use, like we don't, but if we use Microsoft Lists organizationally, you could add that to the view. You can do whatever you want. Like it's actually kind of neat.
Speaking of other things that are neat that Amazon announced yesterday too was Luna, which is also the name of a cat in my neighborhood, which is disturbing.
Yeah. Also the name of the Windows XP UI.
That is right. That is there's some throwback knowledge for you.
Yeah. Before you go on, just to throw you a little bit of history from Luna, because Microsoft was very proud of the fact that they kept Luna from me. And they asked me during the reviewers workshop if I had ever heard any hint of this, and I hadn't. They were high-fiving each other in front of me, which I found annoying. But when they launched Windows XP in October that year, I didn't pay for it, but I led a group of guys from Microsoft out to dinner, and we went to in the Boston's the North End, Little Italy, I guess we'll call it, in New York. And we ate at a restaurant, and Joe Belfiore, one of the guys who worked on Luna, was there, and we ate at an Italian restaurant named Luna. Pretty good.
All right, Mario. Anyway, so they announced this game streaming stuff called Luna, which is going to take on Microsoft's cloud streaming. I think Stadia might be the bigger loser potentially from this announcement, at least initially. And then they're promising 100 games. It's coming with the power of Amazon and Twitch and all that stuff. So U.S. only, by the way, too.
Yeah, right.
Continental U.S., not even Alaska or Hawaii.
But Puerto Rico, right? Is it in Puerto Rico, Brad? Anyway.
They didn't say, so I'm going to go with no.
So when I got this Amazon thing that you can't see, I had to sign up for like an early access list, and then I got in somehow. And so the Luna today is the same thing. So if you're in the United States, you want to check it out, you have to sign up for it, right? So I did, just in case, because I had pre-ordered Stadia, and I know you still have Stadia. I never actually got Stadia, mostly because I saw Project xCloud and I thought, what's the point, But I guess I'm curious. I think Stadia and Luna are nearly identical. They're like the same thing from two different companies. That's how the Microsoft thing is a little different. Actually, maybe it's a lot different. But they do compete. Obviously, they compete. I mean, this kind of service competes with anything: PC gaming, mobile gaming, console gaming. I mean, I know it's not exactly the same, but we'll see. I just don't. Yeah. Amazon is Twitch, right? But I don't I don't know. I guess do you get it, like maybe if you're a Prime user, you get it for a little cheaper.
Maybe
that puts it over the top.
Or if it's bundled in. I wonder if I don't think they'd bundle that into Prime because that's pretty expensive.
No, but with a lot of their services, like if you look at like Amazon Music Unlimited, if you have Prime, you don't get that for free because it's normally like $15 a month or something, but you get it for $3 off a month or something like that. So I could imagine them doing that for Luna. I don't know if they said anything like that or if it's even happening, but I mean, I could imagine it. And I don't know if that's, in other words, if it was the same price as Stadia, but if you were Prime, you got it for $3 to $5 off each month. I mean, would that put it over the top? Probably, because those two things they seem identical to me.
What they should do is bundle all of Amazon's stuff, like all of it, like their Prime, their Whole Food stuff and all of that. And then they can just call that the Bezos package.
Amazon One.
Yep.
So don't. I know you're trigger fingering the end of this thing, but
Nope.
I just wanted to mention. Oh, okay. Before we go, I just want to make sure we get this out. I'm going to be away next week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we are going to do this show Tuesday and Wednesday, and I think that's probably going to be it for the week. I can't guarantee that I'll be back Friday by 1. It's going to be close, but I would just say probably let's just for the well-being thing. Let's take it easy next week. But we will do it Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday, I'm moving my daughter in to college. Cross your fingers and sacrifice a chicken, whatever it is. Knock on wood. I don't know. We'll see. But my wife and I are then we're gonna go to Asheville and just try to relax if possible.
What's the largest state there, like the Biltmont or something in Asheville?
Oh, I don't. I literally am going into this knowing almost nothing about Asheville. Other than that, I've meant to go there for a long time.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty area. I went on a golf trip there a couple years ago. Asheville, is it the Biltmore? Yeah, I think it's the Biltmore.
What is this place?
It's a giant house, something.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go into this with like zero research. My wife has looked some stuff up. I got a couple people have given me restaurant recommendations, which is really nice in Charlotte. Because we're going to be there for 2 nights as well. But I mean, honestly, I'm not looking big on it. We'll walk around the town and stuff like that. But
no, it should be a nice. Asheville's a very pretty area. Whenever we go to like Hilton Head or anything like that, we kind of drive through that area. It's just a nice area. So there you go.
I'm gonna let it wash over me.
It's disturbing.
Not like a spa, like